Absolutely unprecedented as compared to, say, the global averages. So really, it is definitely something that we will be watching out for this afternoon. But nonetheless, as of now, we do have the WPI numbers for the month of June to reckon with as well. And there is expected to be a decline coming through this month as well for the WPI data. And that is what has come through. So it's coming at a decline of around over 4%. So it's a deflation for the second month running. And that is because of the commodity prices, which have declined around 10 to 11% on a year-on-year basis. So you're seeing that impact of disinflation come through because of that on a year-on-year basis. So it has extended in terms of a deflation. So it's coming at over 4% in terms of a deflation as compared to 3.5% in the previous month. We do have Rupa Rege Nitsure joining in. She'll probably be with us in a couple of minutes. Yes, she is with us. Rupa, well, the expectations were for a decline or a deflation figure of around 3.6%. It's come in much more than that. How would you read the WPI data for the month of June?
Yes, because in the month of June, there was significant easing of global energy as well as non-energy prices. And, the statistical base is also very strong. Last year around this time, inflation was running into 16 and 17%. So, this deflation was expected. And I think slightly higher has come because I feel that, manufacturing demand also is not holding firm, because we are seeing that for consumer durables growth, for last 20 months, out of the 20 months, for 14 months, it is negative or very lowly positive. So that shows weakness in urban demand. So pricing power of manufacturing firms also is quite limited. So I think that has accentuated the extent of deflation.
We have some incremental data that has come in with regards to the components of the WPI. Fuel and power inflation has actually contracted the most. It's a contraction of almost 12.6% as against 9.2% in the month of May. And the other thing that we'll have to watch out for is the way food inflation pans out. Food disinflation in the previous month has been minus 1.24%, and this compares with minus 1.59% in May. Rupa, your thoughts on how this pans out in the forthcoming months? Because from lows of sub $70 per barrel, oil has jumped to close to $82 per barrel. And this month, food and vegetable prices have increased as well. So do you think that will have a bearing on food inflation and fuel?
Certainly, sequentially, these inflation rates will certainly inch up. But then, a base effect is so favorable, it is so strong, because as I said earlier, last year around this time, our YOY inflation rate was 16 and 17%. So, deflation will continue, but the extent of deflation may get controlled because of sequentially rising prices of, as you said, fuel as well as vegetables. And if El Nino shadow impacts cereal production, then maybe cereal prices also.
So, Ms. Rege, good afternoon and thanks for being with us. What does all of this mean in terms of the RBI rate action? Now, in the August policy, the expectation is that there could be a pause. But do you think a signaling of a rate cut is still a distance away, considering that prices are rising this way?
Yeah, certainly, because, the nominal anchor of monetary policy is CPI inflation, not WPI. And we have seen that, in CPI also, despite the fact that basic wave statistical base was favorable, we had seen a significant sequential pickup in CPI inflation because of food prices. And, if the future trajectory of CPI inflation will primarily be shaped by food price dynamics. So I personally feel that going by the current trends in vegetable prices and unevenness of monsoon rainfall and the fact that some of the agrarian states are lagging behind in Kharif sowing, I'm expecting cereal and pulses prices also to go up in the coming months. So RBI will certainly factor in that, and it will extend the pause beyond what everybody had expected.
Okay. Well, Rupa, I just wanted to come back to the point where you did indicate that the deflation that we've seen of around 4%, which is much greater than, which is slightly more than expectations, is also because of the manufacturing pricing probably reducing. So does that reflect in terms of growth figures? What is your expectations on growth?
Yeah, at this stage, I am more watchful. It is very difficult to pinpoint a particular trend, but two factors are certainly showing weaknesses. One, as I said, is the weakness in urban demand. The proxy for that is consumer durables production growth, and it is staying in negative zone for more number of months in the last 19-20 months. So that is definitely a worry for me. And secondly, even though rural demand at this stage is holding firm, given the lingering shadow of El Nino and the fact that monsoon is very uneven and lot of agrarian states have suffered, etc. I expect inflation again to raise its ugly head in cereal prices as well as pulses prices, etc. So, yeah, going forward, I think RBI will be watchful, and then growth, we may have, low manufacturing demand, but higher inflation because of supply side factors.
Okay. All right, Rupa, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. So that is the WPI data. It is a deflation for the third straight month, which has come through. That is primarily because of the softer commodity prices that we've seen on a year-on-year basis. And we have core inflation within WPI, which is also in negative terrain for the second to third month. So it's down around 2% or deflation of around 2% at this point in time, similar to what we saw in the previous month.
She was making a mention about food prices, right? I was just checking, it's what now, 160 rupees per kilo on tomato prices? I mean, it's really skyrocketing day after day, and it won't be surprised if inflation, although now it's at these levels, but just sort of starts to pick up further as we move along.
Absolutely. We are hoping that the demand contraction will probably rectify the prices to a certain extent as well, because
we have a better spread of monsoon, hopefully better produce coming in. But from the way it seems right now, the way it's raining in the north, the other day we had the weather guys also tell us that this time around, or for the last few years, we've seen shorter spells of rains but more intense. So as a result of which, throughout the monsoon period, the quantum of rains is normal, but the intensity is so much that it does affect agricultural produce. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Okay, well, let's do one thing. Let's take a short break on that note. On the other side, we'll get back to tracking the markets, from tracking prices of tomatoes to tracking prices of Zomato. We'll be back in a bit on the other side. Stay tuned.